How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the TNA BodySlam post show.
For her.
Burt joined as always. My good buddy Io. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Pretty nice, calm Thursday. Got out of work, chilled, took a little nap, got right up in time for some impact. Uh, pretty decent episode. But we'll get into how you doing, man? Yeah, I don't speed things up quick.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, no, I thought it was a good episode of
Yeah,
Impact. Ready to get into it.
So we'll kind of like recap on the last few days. I know TNA's kind of had like a crazy couple days, coming off of last Thursday and the Turning Point, and of course, the quote unquote incident at the Typins, but that's kind of settled down and stuff. So, but yeah, light on that. I think we should kind of. I know, like pretty much everyone has kind of talked about the new information on the TV on the a pending TV deal. I think we should get our own take on it. So apparently that AMC network is kind of showing interest in TNA. You're familiar with the AMC network, correct? The home of the Walking Dead and some other notorious famous shows.
Yeah, no, yeah, they've had a lot through the years. Walking Dead, Mad Men, obviously the Walking Dead spinoffs. Yeah, a few others. I don't know what they have as of now, but it's again that's still more reach than access. But continue, Io.
Yeah, it's a very notable channel. As you mentioned, those shows. They also have their own streaming service, the AMC Plus, which is, from my understanding, has like over 10 million subscribers, and it's also available in the UK. UK folks listening, yeah, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and certain other international places. So yeah, the fact that that this particular network is kind of having a certain interest in wrestling, which I mean it's kind of very intriguing. I know some folks have assuming like, oh, maybe it's possible it's probably the CW, and there's a chance that maybe there's a kind of leveraging. This is probably a kind of leveraging move from TNA to get more money. I mean, that's honestly that's a great thing. Like, if especially for TNA, that you're able to kind of like get these pursuiters, and then you'll see which one is kind of like highest bidder, and all that stuff. So as far as what I think, I mean that's for another to take. But I will say this, that AMC is very interesting a very interesting network to kind of take a look on, because if they're getting involved in wrestling, that just kind of broader things like of these popular channels, obviously USA Network, TBS, Turner, A&E, CW, and now adding AMC is just shows the expansion of wrestling. So
Well, especially if you just look at the wider this wider scheme of things of sports, it's like you see like Netflix is getting it on the NFL. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these other apps, Peacock, obviously Paramount Plus, they all have some sort of thing where they're streaming the sports that they carry as it is, like on their home network. Yeah, like it seems that everyone's getting into the sports media game. And it seems cheaper, obviously, than scripted programming, and it seems easier to produce at this point. I mean, I'm not really even worried about AMC not even having any sports on their channel. That doesn't matter to me. Again, like I pointed out, AMC's got more reach than access. But what I'm wondering is that how it would work for. I would hope that TNA Plus stays as is, just because I think that should always remain an option. So I'm just wondering. So obviously, Impact would be carried on AMC, the weekly show. But in terms of pay-per-views, I wonder how that would work.
well, I will say that I don't think TNA Plus, I don't think it affects TNA Plus, at least from the international standpoint. Because like,
Mm-hmm.
so put it this way, like when they got the Sportsnet deal for Canada. So basically, for Canadian folks, they can only watch TNA on Sportsnet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if TNA, yeah, they kind of watching Impact. Like we're talking about Impact.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of for Impact Canadian folks can watch on Sportsnet. So for this deal, AMC, CW, or whatever network, seems like there's a chance that they how do I put this, for like the live watching at 8 Central. It seems like it'll be slowly on the network, and then they'll upload the vault the next day. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Yes, that type of thing. Similar to what the CW and NXT is doing. Like CW gets the NXT episodes, while Peacock still has the PLEs and whatnot. But I mean, it's interesting. Where how TNA and the network kind of handles all that, but we'll see as the further details go along.
Yeah, like and just again the bigger deal is the fact that if it comes to that, like the idea of saying TNA Impact on AMC on Thursdays, that's a big deal. Especially again, that's bigger than saying TNA on Access, because I guarantee you a lot more people will go, what's Access opposed to what you know. I mean, they're probably more familiar with AMC. I would guarantee it. So
Yeah, this yeah, without question, this is a huge potential win for TNA. Like a
definitely.
huge, yeah. And one last thing, yeah. From my understanding too, and I know our buddy Gerard, mentioned this too. Like, AMC is probably kind of like, I know from like the last year. I guess they have a little decline from last year, and so a decline. Sorry, a decline last year. So
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to kind of like fill some content to like, and also gain a steady viewership. And like if you add in like a wrestling product like TNA, you'll get like a steady you'll get like a loyal fan base viewership, probably to help with that incline, so to speak. So yeah, it's very interesting, it's very interesting, with these potential suitors.
And yes, and that's a great thing to add, Io. The fact that like if they're down, like obviously like as you mentioned, in like viewership, what better way to add a product with the built-in audience? So and with the ability, with the idea to even the potential to add more, more of an audience, just because they're going to have easier access to that product. So this is a win-win for both ends.
Yeah.
I think this will end up being a very good deal for AMC potentially, if that's the route that they're going.
Definitely, man.
Okay.
I think we should expect something by the definitely before 2025 wraps up.
Yeah, we're toward the end of the year, so having something announced now, again, even though people could be anxious, myself included, I understand why anything would not be announced until the first of the year, so I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
almost there anyway, so
Yeah.
okay. Anything else you had to you want to get into before we get into tonight's episode?
I think that's about it. I mean, Leon Slater had a good showing Tuesday. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, speaking of WWE, we might as well bring it up. So Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler appear to be alive. I guess at least that's what they want to tell us. Rose from the dead. Yeah, they appeared. In the John Cena last time is now tournament. Had a good showing. Yeah. Well, what's your take? Yeah. Seeing Cardona and Nemeth, return to their old home for at least for one night and stuff.
Someone had pointed out to me, like, I think because someone had mentioned, like, I think on a TNA's point, like why aren't they getting to come in with their names that they're rocking now? And on one hand, I was like, I never really thought of that at one. I was like, I guess I could see that, but then someone pointed out that Nick Nemeth and Zack Ryder, those two names are synonymous with John Cena. So for them coming into this tournament, it totally made sense. And yeah, for them to come back, Nick shocked me just because I didn't really suspect that, just nor did I think that he wanted to go back. We haven't seen him in NXT as far as I remember. Cardona is just very funny just because, he finally got to go back. I know it's we kind of joke, in our group chats. It seems like that's what he's always wanted. So, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, to answer that question, well, it's because those are the names that they that they built on, and you're gonna get a great pop, and then obviously the merchandise. So
exactly.
Yeah. Hey, and they're familiar faces. I mean, it's like how do I compare this? I'm trying to compare. So like let's say that I'm trying to compare it to all right, let's say Adam Copeland, for instance. Let's say Adam Copeland, he's done well and elsewhere, then he comes back as Adam Copeland, but no, that's not going to work. Everybody know him as Edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But yeah, it's a merchandise thing too with Cardona and Emmett. Like, people are like, they're gonna be happy to see, like, oh my god, like
exactly.
Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler, like, oh my god, it's been too long. Like, man, I'm a fan of you guys. I want to listen to your music again, that type of thing. So yeah. And kudos to WWE, for capitalizing that, getting the merchandise. And knowing Cardona, this was probably part of his his deal too, to get some merchandise too out of this pop return. But yeah.
It's funny,
I know Chelsea. I know her wife Chelsea. I mean, his wife Chelsea Green is elated when that moment happened.
That's where WWE like shines, and I don't think AEW is even near this in terms of like how good WWE is at merchandise. And it's funny you mentioned it because notice how they already have. I know, and this is not the same subject, but notice how they already have Joe Henry merch. Like that's so smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he hasn't even like debuted like really for the company like as like I guess like just like this week because I think he had a match like and they've announced that he's officially signed there. Like because I wouldn't expect to see him in TNA anymore. So yeah, you could call him a WWE guy, but like yeah, they already have like merch for him. You know what I mean? Like that's very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did when he made his WrestleMania appearance too. So yeah.
They were already like planning ways to make money off of him. You know what I mean? Like that's how they see things. That's very smart.
Something you mentioned AEW. That's something that they should kind of look into, because when I look at their merch, it's just like they're just kind of like making shirts out of random quotes or silly gimmicks right off the bat, like Ricochet's character and like the bald gimmick and da da da. It's just like, really, you guys think that's gonna sell? Or
and yeah, they're not even like very like ahead of it like on like merch, you know what I'm saying, or even like that much, I would say. So yeah, like and that's like obviously there's a reason like why WWE has been around for so long. You know what I mean? They definitely have the business side of it locked down.
Yeah.
So
also kudos to Nemeth when he made his entrance. He shout out TNA. I thought that was pretty cool. And he went on Busted Open, saying like, he hopes that the relationship blossoms bigger to stuff like this, and
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I
know people always be kind of like dogging on Nemeth's intentions, his schedule and whatnot. But hey, like based on what I'm seeing in his tweets and him and his in his comments and interviews, like this guy is a teenage soldier. Like I I don't care where he came from or if his schedule whatnot. Like, hey, if he's willing to kind of like promote the company, and he doesn't even need to do this either. Like, if he's willing to promote the company, consistently, like, hey, that's a cool thing for us. So.
It's funny you mentioned the Nemeth talking about this relationship continuing. The more I keep thinking about it, I think that Kaz even mentioned it. I think that Kaz being TNA World Champion is the clearest path to leading to AJ Styles having another match in TNA, just because I don't think, like, let's just say real quick, if it's really easy to set up a AJ Styles getting another TNA World title match. He doesn't need to win anything. You know what I mean? He should just be grandfathered that. And then him losing to Kaz, especially if Kaz cheats the way he does, it doesn't hurt AJ Styles. He doesn't have to go put somebody over like a younger, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the more I think about it, I think we could have that match.
Yeah.
It just, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like that's an easier way to it. Oh, and I guess we should also talk about, I haven't watched yet, but I did see the result. I did see Javon and Leon did lose to Dark State on Gold Rush. Is that correct? Did I see that?
That's correct.
I saw a lot of people kind of complaining, like, why, you know what I mean? I kind of agree with that. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I'm not saying they're not doing anything with Javon, and really has less to do with Leon. But yeah, you should have put the tag team titles on there. It would have been like a little bit of like a jolt to that company, who NXT is, frankly, is pretty fucking boring right now. There's really nothing that is grabbing me at this point.
Here's my thing. Like, I was thinking, like, is this it? Like, that's how we kind of pay off the Dark State, the Dark State interference, a month back from Bound for Glory. Like, they just get tag title shot and don't even end up winning. It just kind of like makes you wonder, like, then, like, there's so many ways that this could have been handled. Like, I know we're going back to Bound for Glory for a bit, like having the the bell ring while there's the time limit, and then 5 more minutes, and then Dark State interferes, and of course Leon and Javon become a tag team, and then they get the tag title shots, and Dark State retains. And I'm thinking, okay, is that it? Like, both guys go to separate ways. Like, are we even gonna like conclude? Are we even gonna like have run this back, so to speak? But I guess that's between WWE and TNA to figure that out. But yeah, so real quick. So the Dark State, they hit their powerbomb finish. Javon tried to break it up, but he inadvertently landed on Slater, and then Dark State took advantage of that, and then they hit their Doomsday. It's a finisher similar to like the Road Warriors finisher, and then that's when they got the 3. So
yeah, again, I'm gonna go back and watch the match. I saw the results, but the thing when I immediately thought of, just when I saw, I'm just like, again, nothing against Dark State, and I do think that now that they're actually trying to start doing something with them and trying to make them dominant, like look like a force, they're doing a better job. But yeah, I just thought Leon and Javon now just been like, something different, just in terms of like, and again, make NXT a little bit more watchable than it is now.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with Dark State winning, just in terms of, you know what I mean? You don't need to just keep, Habitator in the title. So let them have a long run. Try to do something with them.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to go to our good friend of the show. Everyone should know Datila real quick. She asked if we're going back to the Kaz comment, when Kaz and AJ would happen. Personally, you would think that Genesis would be the best choice, just because you're trying to sell a bigger building. But I could see TNA, if it aligns right, wanting to do that match on the first night on the new network. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a live show, you want to get a lot of viewers on that night. You know what I mean? They're gonna promote the hell out of that show when it's announced. If AJ's in it, WWE's gonna also promote the hell out of it.
Yeah. We were talking this with Gerard the other week. Yeah. Seems like both guys are down for it, and Kaz, according to Kaz, they're just waiting on one guy's approval. So
Yeah.
yeah. My thing is like
Okay.
I don't think it needs to involve the championship. That's just my own take. I'll get into that another time. But like, if it does happen, like obviously we all know who's going over in that match. But it seems like WWE is kind of like they're like in a way they're gonna give AJ Styles a similar retirement tour to the way they're doing with Cena now. So hopefully TNA is involved with that.
Yeah, I just think that because, again, I agree with you on that point. It doesn't need to involve the title. I just think that like when AJ retires in WWE, I don't think he's going to have like any matches outside of that. So I just think it has to happen in between whenever he has planned his last match. So
Yeah.
I just think Kaz, it would make a lot of sense. We've talked about this even before in the past. So I just thought that match makes the most sense between them, Kaz, just because of the history.
Definitely.
Okay, before we get into tonight, I mean, anything else you could think of? We're real quick because I just a little bit of news. Nothing. I remember had just shown it with you before. According, Wrestle Purist had tweeted this out. According to Fightful Select, sources indicate that to AEW the Anna Jay's contract is expiring soon. That's just interesting because. And I'm bringing this up because we just saw her and Ty Conti lose in a tag, the tournament to crown the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. And a lot of people are kind of upset about that just because they've kind of been the tag team before the division was even established. But that's just interesting news because, if she was to go anywhere, I think that TNA would be the best landing spot for her. And you had mentioned in one of our other groups, she has a lot of potential there. And I happen to agree with you. You know what I mean? Just in terms of the talent there, I think so. She was happen to leave AEW. I think TNA would be a great landing spot.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what she decides to do. I did mention she has potential because I feel like, and this is not a shot on her. We're gonna talk about her real quick. It seems like ever since Dark Order, the passing of Brody Lee, like she's just been kind of like trying to find her own niche. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mean this as an offense. Sometimes you're there. What is Anna Jay, so to speak? You know what I mean? Like, what makes her stand out of the juggernaut roster that AEW has right now in that division and stuff? And it's kind of hard to put an answer to it. You know what I mean? Like, because like, all right, she was with Dark Order, and then she moved on with the Jericho's group. Jericho's group, the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think that's what we're called. And then she starts promoting her. I mean, like, she always is saying like, I have a fat ass and da da da. That type of catchphrase or whatnot or whatever. And then she goes to Stardom, and then she goes to Stardom for a bit to hone her craft, and then she reunites with Ty Conti, and then and again, like you said, like it seems like they were the first AEW women's tag team way before that they even officially had like a tag division, and now they didn't advance. I mean, of course, they're against Marina and Megan. I didn't really give them a chance, to be honest, but like, hey. So yeah, it'd be interesting if she could stay. That's also too, because but yeah, as far as TNA, they can really kind of like give her the proper development on her character and her real purpose, and so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
same with NXT to a degree, but we'll see.
No, completely agree with you, Io, because at this point, I honestly think that the wrestling ability is not really the problem here. It's just the character, and I'm usually the last one to complain about that element.
It's definitely.
But you're right. Like, she needs to find a character, and that's why I said TNA, because it seems like people, when you go to TNA, you have a little bit more free range, and you can play with the character a little bit more. And I think that would definitely be a great spot for her. Okay. Before we move on to tonight's show, I just want to remind everybody this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns, learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it might actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. We all know you're going to need that when you're on those nasty-ass gym mats. And on top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off your first order. Okay, let's get into tonight's episode, which I thought, after, obviously, it was Turning Point. This was a pretty good show. I thought, again, it didn't blow me away, but I thought it was very solid. But we're going to start out with Mike Santana in the ring, and I thought he cut a very, very passionate promo. Again, I'm not going to get into my anger with how I feel about the booking, but I think this was a very good way to kind of let you know that he's still fighting, and however you feel about the storyline, it's kind of basically saying that he's on to the next one. But I did like how he said that he's going to go after all the NXT guys who kind of jumped him. So I'm looking forward to some of those matches, because I definitely think it keeps him preoccupied rather than just thrusting him back into a world title shot at this point. What do you think, Io?
I thought this was once again another one of Santana's finest promos. When you saw him walking towards to the ring, you can sense the mood. Like, this isn't like normally he's fired up and pumps up the crowd, but like, this was a very different Santana, and rightfully so, after the past few days. So he just calm, cool, very calm, processing, like, what's going on. And then once, he sat on that chair, he gave us kind of like a memory lane talk of, he was 30 days ago, he was, the happiest guy. He was on riding this high, happy's been, finally win the world title in front of his daughter, yada 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 and stuff. And then, it all came crashing down, because, like, like, he always, and I love he gave us that pep talk, like, just when you think everything's going well, like, something can just, bam, just take it right away from you. And he's right. Like, I'm sure some of us were all living proof of that. So in a way, he kind of like gave us some like some real talk. You know what I mean? Like, hey, in one moment, it's like you're feeling good, you're having a good you feel like a sense sort of accomplishment, and then something eventually is gonna happen, and then that's what they're. So yeah, it was great, because it gave us like that sense of, like, crushed sadness, of course, like, as as everyone felt, like, last week and stuff. So, but then he turns it back up, and, like, tries to motivate himself, and motivate himself in the crowd. Like, this makes him more determined, more more determined, more with a purpose. Like, he had that world title, and now, he's now gonna do what he can to, like, get it back. Obviously similar to with the Josh Alexander story. You know what I mean? Like, he had the world title for a few short minutes. So, like, seems like we're almost gonna go somewhere similar to that route. And then, of course, he called out Frankie. That he's putting him on notice, and And of course, before Frankie, he like you mentioned, he's has his eyes set on the NXT guys. So seems like we're gonna get like a very obviously pissed off, but also very focused and more determined Mike Santana, and I'm looking forward to it.
You know, yeah, he did a very good job of, like, the whole theme was basically like, I mean, we shouldn't be getting down. You know what I mean? Like, he knows it's like back to work. Like, it was very inspiring in that end. So yeah, I thought this was very good. So, and like, yeah, I'm looking forward to where this goes, just in terms of what they do with him, especially the NXT part. So yeah, I thought this was very good. Okay. Next, we're gonna move on to, it was our first four-way match, and again, the theme of it tonight was the knockouts. I can't really figure out. I'm trying to think which one I liked more. I definitely liked this one just because I think it was a little bit more fast-paced than the second one, but this was very good. But what do you think about this opening match? Why don't you start us off on this one?
Yeah, this was a very interesting four-way. I mean, both are as they're looking for a new contender for the Knockouts title at Final Resolution against whoever wins, on the Gold Rush on NXT Tuesday. This one was very interesting. You have four different styles: Luna, Hardwell, Rosemary, and Mila. I'm actually glad Mila actually got this opportunity. Actually, because she's been doing her thing, tagging with Harley Hudson. Now she's hanging in there with the top contenders and stuff. Also, obviously, there's still a boil tension between Indy Hartwell and Danny Luna. Like if you notice, when Hartwell made her entrance, Hartwell made her entrance, there was like a cold stare dagger. Luna looking at Hartwell, and I like that I like that camera shot. It's just showing that these two, even though these two had a heck of a street fight Friday, like there's still tensions as we saw once the bell rang. Luna went after Hartwell, and yeah, Mila. Also, I mentioned Mila. Yeah, this was she held her own. I mean, hanging in there, going out with Rosemary, a former Knockouts champion in her own right, and tangling with Luna and Hartwell. What I like about the Knockouts division is because like all women are different. Like everyone kind of stands out. I think that's the great thing about the Knockouts division entirely, because like everyone stands out. No one, no one seems hard to kind of be forgotten, so to speak. You know what I mean? And everyone kind of brings something to the table, and also shows anyone could possibly be a top contender to the Knockouts title. But yeah, this was very good. A lot of styles. Everyone. A lot of pinfall, a lot of near falls and after, and then of course towards the end, Rosemary, being the sadistic one herself, brought in the chain. Uh, then she got rants into the post, and then Danny Luna ends up grabbing the chain and then knocking out Indy Hartwell with that. Of course, getting the three. I thought it was good. I think it was nice that Luna was able to advance in here, because at least it shows up that she's still in contention despite losing to Hartwell Friday.
I just the pairing of this match I just really like, just because and even though she was a former NXT champion, I believe, at one point, I don't remember Indy working with, and again, it's against more of the NXT, like the talent they go after, and the kind of, you know what I mean? She's working with a lot better workers now, and so you just look at who she's surrounded by in this match. she needs more of these matches. And I like how you pointed out Mila, who shined in this match. I love how she was accompanied by Harley Hudson. We need to see more of them, and I think we're going to. Rosemary, again, never has like a bad match. I mean, she might be, coming towards the end of her career, but again, she's a professional out there. And I really like how they had Danny win just because, one, she used the chain, but two, I don't think it hurts Indy just because Indy's coming off a big win. And when you're in this type of environment, a 4-way, it's chaotic. I don't think it really hurts any of the combat. You know what I mean? So I thought this was a really good match. Just a great way to open the show. Mm. Oh, and before we move on now, I forgot to bring up after the Santana promo, we had a Santino Marella segment where he's just on the phone and Kaz comes up, and this is obviously having to do with Kaz trying to kind of clear his name. But obviously the interesting part is JDC rolled up, and we kind of got what I thought was very surprising just because, man, I don't know why JDC's retiring because I think he's on fucking fire right now. This promo he cut was Kaz kind of mentioning him just getting married and bringing up his wife, and it didn't take much for JDC to kind of flip a switch. And I thought he showed so much fire, and it wasn't like he had shown that before. Again, I'd mentioned I think his TNA run's the best run of his career, but it's like, man, I don't want this guy to retire. You know what I mean? Like this was really good.
Yeah, this was a way to kind of like, get the ball rolling, that, hey, this guy is on his final run as a wrestler, and probably make it a more serious, probably put him a little serious into him. And yeah, you're right, Frankie, being the braggadocious himself, trying to clear his name with Santino, and then Santino saying like, well, he doesn't trust him, but he's still like, yeah, Santino, he has his mind all over trying to like, deal with the whole NXT guys situation and stuff. But yeah, with JDC, yeah, this was a good way to kind of slowly build his contention because Final Resolution is 2 weeks away. So I'm glad, yeah, they booked him and EY tonight to see if he actually earns a shot. So that's new.
Yeah, I'm very flippant, when it comes to who I cheer for. On one hand, like I'm wanting Santana eventually maybe get that title back, but JDC rolls up and Kaz. I love when someone calls someone a J-Bro, and Kaz called him a J-Bro, and I was like, God damn it. This is why I love Kaz, and I'm like, this is why I'm glad that he is a champion finally. You know what I mean? And so, I part of me just really wants this guy to have a long run with the title because I think he really deserves it. Okay, next we're going to move on to another backstage segment before we get into the match with Santino with Ariana Grace. And I thought this was another good one just because I think that their chemistry, obviously their family, is so natural that whenever they're on screen, I think they just they shine. But Macklin and the Hardys walk up, and I really like this just because they were just kind of like talking about how like kind of like bring it on like in terms of the NXT talent. So I like that they're kicking the evasion. It was kind of similar, reminds me a little bit to the Aces and Eights, you know what I mean, telling them to let him in. But I thought this was very good.
Yeah, and kudos, for Jeff with the big brains. Yeah, saying that, hey, like if giving them a title shot is the way to, lead them back in, like, so be it. Yeah, because Santino, yeah, he said like, we're just gonna open the doors, come get some. Like TNA is ready to get their licks back in and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, definitely, Io. Next, we're going to move into the what I thought was a solid match. It was Mance Warner with obviously SDL Septalander versus Matt Cardona. this is a little. These two have had quite a little bit of a rivalry. Obviously, there's a lot of history with Steph SDL and Matt Cardona, just dating back from the Indies when they were kind of aligned with each other. We saw how their relationship kind of came to a head in TNA, kind of when they broke up with the PCO over the PCO thing. I thought this was good. I thought the right man won. I think Cardona, whatever I have to say about him, I thought he looked good as well. Just he's a professional out there. But this is fun. This is fine. I'm glad Mance got the win. I thought that's where they should have gone.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad they brought up like the reason this match happened because Cardona eliminated Mance and Call Your Shots, and then I think Mance, retaliating, eliminating Cardona too. So yeah, this was very interesting. And what's interesting too, because Steph Lalander's there, who was also a former ally of Cardona. So yeah, they're not these. Yeah, there's no strangers between all three of these people. So this was good, decent match. Always like Mance's work, from the Indies, and then him in MLW, GCW, and all that stuff. So yeah, this was a very good, decent showcase, and of course, he got the purse from apparently it was a loaded purse from Steph, and then knocked out Cardona with it. So yeah, of course, Cardona ain't too happy about that, as yeah, he later challenged Mance to a street fight for a final resolution.
Yeah, which should be, again, anytime Mance is involved in a street fight, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, you had Cardona call himself the Deathmatch King, and obviously Cardona has been doing a lot of stuff in GCW, so he's no stranger to that. So that should be a really good match. I am looking forward to that one. And like you had said, we're building toward it. Anyone who complained about the 2-day build for Turning Point basically can kind of relax now. This card's obviously taken shape, as it should. So again, yeah, this should be good. Okay. Next, we're going to move into what I thought was actually very, very good, just because it checked a lot of boxes for me. It was just a Robert Stone promo with kind of all of the guys he brought in from NXT. And I need to look up their names, but the two that shined for me were the two former members of the High Rise. Obviously, that was the team Wesley was leading. But I thought their promos were tremendous. It wasn't about so much of what they said, but it was the delivery. I thought they command the screen. I thought they demanded respect. I thought they came off as like stars. And I'm like, okay, I could give a shit about the other people. You know what I mean? Like, I do like Charlie Dempsey, but I could give a shit about everyone. I want to see them. Like, I want to see them in TNA. Like Briggs. I mean, Josh Briggs. It was whatever. I thought Lexus King. I could care less. I thought Stax was pretty good, but to me, again, it was the two former members of the High Rise. I'm gonna look their names up as soon as Io goes, but that's who shined for me.
Tyson and Tariq.
Thank you, Io.
Yeah,
I thought Tyson and Tariq shined. Like I need to see more of them. Like I pushed them. Everyone else, I'm okay.
Yeah. What I like, I agree. I definitely love this segment because we're letting lesser known guys, less utilized guys get a chance to kind of like introduce themselves. Even if it's for like a 1-minute promo or a few seconds. And I thought and for what it's worth, I thought these guys did good. With the cutting their promos, letting them know that hey, we're not the bad guys here. TNA struck at us, a couple weeks back, and now we're just returning the favor, and we're doing it better. Yeah, those two guys, they did well. Stacks, Stacks, saying that hey, Santana, you were just at the wrong place, wrong time, saying like I basically not taking blame for what happened. Well, I mean, like taking blame for like what happened to Santana particularly, but it's interesting. Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like Santino and his daughter, they didn't even bring up Stacks like when they were having their own argument. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll get to Stacks later in a few. But yeah, also Lexus King. I thought he had a good promo too. With all the King's horses, all the King's men. Yeah, he mentioned that. I think that was pretty good. And then of course you got Robert Stone, of course, the former Robbie E. People
Yeah.
setting the record straight. Like he's not the puppet master behind this. Like all these people, like all these guys. They have their own intentions and stuff. So yeah. Seems like these guys are just here to make it, not only here to invade, but also make it a pun intended impact. So yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I think this promo is going to go a long way to, because at least we kind of know a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're finally talking, so just kind of going out there, and we didn't really know their agenda at first. So yeah, I thought this was very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we're going to move on to our third match of the night, and I think this was kind of one a lot of people were looking forward to. It was John Skyler taking on Myron Reed, and I thought, obviously, I knew Myron was going to shine, but like I should never estimate John Skyler. You know what I mean? He always goes out there, and I swear this guy gets better and better every time I see him. He was able to get the win, and again, I thought this was a very, very good match. I think I liked it. I hope that we're maybe going towards a Order 4 versus the Rascals faction feud, because I think that is something they can really build towards, and really, I think that's a money feud. I think you could put a lot of butts in seats with that one. But what did you think about this match, Io?
Yeah, this was a very good matchup. What I like is both guys came on their own. Myron, this is actually the first time Myron's actually wrestling without the Rascals around him. Kind of gives us a chance to see what he's capable of doing on his own. As he did back when he was facing Leon Slater. And of course, the same with John Skyler. Like usually with John Skyler, you see Jason Hodge with him, and of course the rest of Order 4. So yeah, it was nice, like decent, showcase for both guys in particular. Myron, who's like the no disrespect, like the lesser known rascal, and of course John Skyler, who's very underutilized. Very very underutilized and underappreciated to some degree. And of course, the Rascals. They did, of course, they show what happened backstage. Apparently, the Rascals are laid out, of course, and you see Agent Zero and Tasha standing tall. So, yeah, it seems like we got it seems like the Rascals. I know, like they had that feel good reunion moment. Seems like now they got another issue, of course, with Order 4 again and stuff. So. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Skyler distracted. Jason Hodge distracted Myron Reed, and of course for Hodge to get the pin.
Yeah, I think this is, again, like I mentioned, you just mentioned. I think they definitely is something they need. This is definitely a feud they should lean into. I think this could produce a lot of quality matches. So, yeah, like I'm already thinking like Ali versus Dez would be very good. There's a lot of matches that I want to see. Okay. Next, we're going to move into what I thought was a very good segment as well. A lot of good promos tonight. It was kind of an AJ segment, AJ Francis and Rich Swann segment. And this was kind of just AJ berating him a little bit about how he walked out of Turning Point with the L. Obviously that's true. And then he was kind of mad at Rich. Obviously that is true. We watched the match, but he's kind of getting mad at Rich for shaking Leon's hand. And again, I don't know if they were necessarily teasing a breakup, but I don't know. I don't really necessarily like that they're teasing tension again. I thought we were past that. Before we move on to the second half of the segment, what did you think about just their dynamic? Like, are you feeling them already teasing a breakup already, or?
It could in that sense, because were you able to watch that exclusive segment, that first class segment? I mean, first class penthouse segment last week.
No, I was not. I totally forgot
All
about
right,
that.
all right. You gotta take a look back. So basically, all right, I'll recap real quick. So basically, AJ called out Swan to kind of like uh settle, rekindle the differences after what happened at Bound for Glory. Um, I don't know if Swan accepted his apology, or before BDE came out. And when BDE came out, he was trying to tell Swan, like, kind of remind Swan who he is, and like, you're like, don't listen to this dude, and don't listen to this dude, and da da da. And then yeah, of course, your BD got thrown to a table for his troubles. So um, yeah, AJ, yeah, he's not happy that Swan didn't defeat Leon Slater. Uh, and of course, like, why we shook his hand too. To answer your question, I think there might be some cracks, but it's going to be slowly. We'll see. It depends, what's going through Swan's mind. But it seems like, yeah, in Swan's defense, yeah, it was just showing you sportsmanship. Like, hey, this Leon Slater kid is the future. He's heck talented, and then he beat a former world champion, former X Division champion. So you got to give us props. And of course, AJ didn't want to hear all that and stuff, and then basically saying, like, I don't care about sportsmanship, I care about success, like, I care about wins, gold, and da da da. And then comes Leon, trying to defend Swan, and then bow up to AJ. Of course, the challenge was made for final resolution. Leon will be defending against AJ Francis, which should be very, very interesting matchup. Don't you agree?
No, I was going to go into that. We were talking on the show. I didn't and happen to catch any matches made, but when I saw this segment and I saw the challenge they had done, I'm like, okay, like obviously we've seen Leon versus Moose. Obviously Moose is another athletic big guy. I would say the same thing about AJ. This is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a great. Again, this is the type of matches you've seen throughout the X Division history. You know what I mean? Abyss. We've seen guys like Abyss, Samoa Joe. So this is going to be good. I don't think this is going to be. I think anyone who's going to sleep on this match already, I think is going to be in for a huge surprise.
I think
AJ can go. Like, we're way past that flop dollar shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is another chance for AJ again to kind of show his naysayers and doubters, like, hey, like, again, like, hey, he, like, don't let the top dollar, hit row, gimmick fool you. Like, hey, this dude can still, like, this dude can do a lot of things. Obviously, he has a following, he has connections, he's a very good heel. He can make you hate you, and also he can go, like, he's doing moonsaults and hurricanranas and da da da. Like, hey, he for a big man also was impressive for a big man too. So this is a chance for obviously Leon's gonna have another showcase and match, and of course for AJ to again remind his doubters, like, hey, like, all that talking shit and stuff, like it's just only one it's only one it's only one uh one side way, because hey, he's actually doing some good shit. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a final resolution for this one.
Yeah, this card's already, I think, shaping out to be very good, very great way to close out the year. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Okay, next we're going to move into, again, these segments are quite funny. It's just basically like the Elegance Talent Church.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? And again, kudos to TNA, because I think everyone's glad that they're finding ways, and the Ash is basically kind of still a permanent character of the group. Like, she's still, running point. Maybe she might not be in the ring, but she's still running point. These are very fun. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing anybody I recognize yet, which, that's what I'll kind of when I get to that point, I'm gonna be like, okay, I think we're getting closer to who they're going to bring in, because I think it will definitely be somebody that, like somebody on the indies that, you know what I mean, that has potential. But what do you think about this? I think these are very funny.
Yeah, this was very entertaining. I'm glad they're kind of like stretching this Mr. Elegant talent search. This Yeah, it seems like this is a very serious. I mean, entertaining, but also serious because they're actually looking for someone to kind of be with the girls in the concierge. But yeah, for this one, yeah, this was very. Also, you should check out some candidates on social media. There some candidates, are very creative with their videos. So
I have seen them say are very creative, especially like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I hopefully some of those wrestlers, because I recognize a lot of those guys from the indies, hopefully they get a shot to come in.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, for this one, there were some recognizable people. So they brought in this dude with the tattoos on his neck, and as soon as I was like, huh, that dude looks familiar. And then Ash, she got up and then
Yeah.
went to have her way with that dude, and then of course apparently he's disqualified because he broke the rules. But yeah, that dude is familiar. Actually, that is actually her husband, Ulysses Diaz.
Okay.
So I just looked up. Yeah, yeah. That's actually her. Yeah, real life husband. I saw him in
Okay.
the Merch documentary. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And then they had Jamie Stanley. That is a name I'm familiar with from AEW Dark. You remember this dude, Jamie Stanley?
I do not remember that name. No.
Oh wait. Is it? Well, maybe I'm confused with NWA. Maybe I recognize. I know I recognize him. Maybe from NWA or AEW Dark or
Yeah, I do
probably
not
NWA.
recognize him.
Probably NWA. Yeah, scratch that. NWA. Yeah. So yeah, Jamie Stanley. Yeah, he's tall. Good looking fella. Nice suits. Nice looking suit. And then the concierge kind of shut him down, saying like only one person can wear the salmon suit, and that's Mark Henry. I I was dead after that. I was like, well, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen a salmon suit in a while. That
Henry does.
definitely.
Yeah. That Henry does have like a claim when it comes to wrestling. Then Henry does have a own to the salmon suit because anyone who wears a salmon suit is gonna obviously think about Henry, and the if you know, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
before I continue, what's your thoughts on seeing these contestants?
Yeah, no, again, this was very that second guy, like he had the heel look, you know what I mean? The salmon suit's that's a bold look. But yeah, no, I think they need to continue these just because I think that this will go a long way to when they definitely when they eventually bring that person in, at least we'll be familiar with them. You know what I mean? We can look back on
Yeah,
these kind of segments.
yeah.
So yeah.
And then there's this other guy, Alejandro. Yeah, I thought he poured his soul. He did a good job. Obviously charming the ladies. Giving them complimenting their looks and their figure and stuff. And then he kind of poured his soul like, yeah, I need this job and like I need to be with this group and da da da. Yeah, and he's also a handsome looking fella. And then of course the girls with the whole loser thing, the loser thing. I was like, oh, that's nice. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, I know, like, like, I was like in like at first I was thinking I was at America's Top Talent. Like you're the judge, you're watching America's Top Talent,
Yeah.
and you see this contestant that kind of wins you over, like for a little bit, and then of course the other judges kind of shuns him. That's how I felt for a second there with that Alejandro dude. Yeah, but yeah, this talent show is getting very serious.
Yes.
They just shut down three good looking fellas. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, who will they take? You know what I'm saying? Their standards seem to be, because yeah, you had mentioned that seems to be her boy, the first guy, their boyfriend, and she disqualified him. So it's like, who will they take?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we're gonna move into our fourth match tonight, and I think this had a similar theme as the earlier four-way women's match. In that, I think Victoria Crawford, who I don't think they did much of with in WWE, and I think a lot of people say that. I think this is another you surround her with three good workers, and I think this match was very good. You know, Jody Threat is excellent, and I could say the same thing with Killer Kelly. Xia is very young in her career, but you know she's been to Stardom. She knows what she's doing. I think she's very very good. I was really impressed with this match. Tessa was on commentary at one point, and I'm going to keep, regardless, you know how I feel, I'm going to keep pointing that out and going against my own judgment a little bit. She is impressing me as well because she's a great heel, and it would be foolish for me to not want her pushed because of personal matters when you need great workers. So, yeah, again, she wasn't in this match, but I thought everybody did shine. Xia was able to get the win with the Brooksy Bomb, which always looks crisp. But I really like this match, and now I'm starting to think about it. I think I like the second one a lot more. But what did you think about this match?
Yeah, this one. I'll get to Tessa in a few, but this one was a nice. Again, a nice, interesting styles. Of course, you got Xia Brookside, um, Killer Kelly, Victoria Crawford, and Jody Thread. Yeah, all different, all different. Bring some different. Um, yeah, Crawford. I know she's kind of technically she's basically the veteran out of this four, and she's 39, I guess, right now, and like she's holding her own with these young cats and stuff. So gotta give her that. I know some of us were kind of on the tipsy, like why she's still around, da da da, you know she's not really that good, da da da. But hey, she knows her role, like being Tessa's, sidekick, or so to speak, or but for this match in particular, she did all right decently. Of course, Jody Threat, Jody Threat, Killer Kelly, both former Knockouts Tag Team Champions in their own right, breaking out, into contenderships to the Knockouts World Title. So yeah, these two, yeah, I wouldn't leave out. And of course, you got Xia Brookside, the bubbly, angel of the sky. No, it's not angel. Sorry. Oh yeah, angel of the sky. Sorry, I thought that's her nickname. Um, yeah, don't let the innocence and the happy spirit of her, she can go to, and she can get serious too, as we saw in her feud with Rosemary. So with Tessa too, yeah. Oh my god, sometimes with Tessa, like, yeah, she's a great wrestler, but she's not really the sharpest tool in the shed. If as obviously as that, basically hyping up Victoria, like da da da, basically I would say hyping too much Victoria a little bit, like, hey, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember what she actually said, but like she was basically kind of like I mean, of course, that's her partner. She's gonna hype her up a bit. And then
exactly.
she went on to say like they would have won the tag titles, won the tag titles. You mean like you mean Vic and Mila Moore, right? Because you're not medically cleared and stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, good sequence by the four women. Yeah, good sequence by the four women. Everyone was able to kind of fast pace and counter, and then get their moves in, and then yeah, you mentioned of course to the finish. Jody Threat takes care of Crawford, while Brookside was able to capitalize with the Brooksy bomb on Kelly, and yeah. So yeah, Brookside advances. So in 2 weeks it'll be Yeah, in 2 weeks it'll be Danny Luna, Zaya Brookside, both Brits, going after for the number one contender shot. So should be interesting. Oh,
Yeah, that should be a very
always like when we change up the contendership. Like, hey, like, yeah, I mean, like, some people you didn't expect to advance, are actually advancing. So yeah.
yes. I that match is very intriguing just because I think they could go either way on who wins, and I think either way would be they could sell that match. That match is very sellable, like on just in terms of wanting to see it.
Mhm.
Okay, next we're going to move into what I think is kind of a budding storyline, just in terms of they're building something with these two women in terms of their introductory promos. This was Jada Stone's turn to kind of rebuttal, and I thought she came off like an absolute star. I definitely want to see more of this woman. You know what I mean? I want to see. We need to see her in a TNA ring stat. Like, no disrespect to Mila Moore, who I think is also a star, but I think there was just something about Jada. Is it Jada or Jada?
Jada Stone.
Jada Stone. There's something about her that just leaped through the screen. But yeah, I thought this was another brilliant segment. TNA's been knocking out of the park with their video packages lately, but this was another good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her story. Yes, her apparently, yeah, her brother, her brother was a wrestling fan, and she kind of fall into it. Um, and then she was trained by Al Snow in OVW, and then was trained by Fred Rosser in New Japan. Fred Rosser, aka Darren Young. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, she's really, seems like she's come a long way. She's been learning the she's come a long way, so to speak. She butt heads with I won't say butt head, but she ran into Tommy Dreamer a couple times, trying to get an opportunity. And then a few years back she had her first tryouts. She felt like it didn't work out. And in a way it kind of like lessened her self-confidence. And I think that's kind of like that's one thing folks should understand. Some wrestlers, they have like these self-confidence issue, like, even like if one match, it takes one match or one move or whatnot to kind of like lessen their self-confidence, and kind of like worry, like, like, are they gonna, was that good enough for them? Like, I mean, I'm sure, like, we all can relate, so that's, we're trying to like get that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity or job and da da da. So yeah, yes, it seems like she had a self-confidence issue. um but then thankfully they kind of brought her back, leading up to that match with Mila Moore at an Explosion. I thought, for what it's worth, it was a good showing. I remember watching it vividly. It was a good showing. It was a good showing for both women, but also Jada too. And then, of course, the big moment: Carlos Silva, Tommy Dreamer, Jazz, announced both women are signed. And now, and Jada was saying that since then her life has changed. Like, Bailey, Bailey herself actually congratulated her getting it signed, and she credits Bailey being one of the reasons why she's doing this. So yeah, like you said, I'm very excited to see what Jada Stone can bring to the Knockouts division, because she's, obviously she's very athletic, based on the videos we've seen. From my understanding, she was in Japan. She was in Japan for a little bit, but now she's back, doing indies. So yeah, looking forward to her official start as a TNA Knockout. And it also again proves, the future is bright for the Knockouts division. Like,
Mm-hmm.
again, I know
Mm-hmm.
we had our criticisms. I know I don't know if Datila's still in the chat, but yeah, she was very vocal about the division too. Um, we it seems like going into 2026, like, we're actually, opening the door, the opportunity for upcoming knockouts to see what they can do. Um, as you see the change, the shift, because the Jordans, the Rosemarys, the Mashas and the Ashes, like those are kind of like, passing by, and of course now it's time to open the door for these, up and comers. So yeah, but for Jada Stone, yeah, I'm very looking forward to what she can bring.
Definitely. Yeah, exactly. 100. Okay. Next, we're gonna we just get a little Santino Marella backstage segment, and we're gonna get some final resolution matches. He made Fine Santana versus Charlie Dempsey, which I very intrigued. We get the Hardys versus to defending the tag team championships against Tyson and Tyreek, which I think that's the one that I'm circling because I'm very excited for that one. Just again, I mentioned their promos. I thought they stood out. We also are going to get Steve Macklin defends the international title against Stax. If Ariana cost him the match and joined Stax, I'm not going to hate that. You know what I mean? I think that would be intriguing. But and he also announces next week we're going to have some matches. We have the Hometown Man taking on Brooks Jensen and Robert Stone versus Mike Santana. I'm calling it right now. I think Robert Stone wins on distraction by DJ Z blowing the air horn and causing Santana to get distracted. It's not going to hurt him to lose. Or maybe and then my long shot is Rob Terry comes out. We're also going to get, which I think should be a hot fucking all-star tag match. We got the Hardys, Steve Macklin, and Cedric Alexander taking on Lexis King, Stax, and Tyson and Tyreek. That should be very good.
Yeah, definitely seems like we're wasting no time doing some TNA NXT matches. That should be good. Also,
I'm looking for. Sorry.
No, continue.
I was going to say that I'm looking forward because I forgot. Yeah, Dempsey did kind of allude to Santana, like kind of called Santana out. So I'm glad they're doing that match now. Yeah. So that's very good on TNA for that one.
Yeah. All right. I was gonna say I was laughing when Santino mispronounced their names. He said he called Tyreek Shrek. I was laughing. He called Brooks Jensen Brooks Johnson, I guess. And then of course he called
okay.
He called his son-in-law Sticks.
Yeah. Okay.
Never changed, Santino.
Yeah, that game. Yeah. Okay. Next, we're gonna move into our main event. We got Kaz on commentary, and I thought this was so good because, and I was bowing right towards him when, along with Ray Walt, Kaz comes out, and you just see the disgust on Hanafan's face. Hanafan, he did not want to have to share the commentary booth with this man. Yeah. But he had to. He had to call a match. It was Eric Young versus JDC. And I think me, you, and our good buddy Miguel were rooting for JDC this whole match. I thought this match was probably the best JDC match I've seen him ever have. You know what I mean? Again, I always go back to I didn't see much of him in WWE. There really wasn't much, but this was a banger. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, it's crazy that this is a main event. The JDC is in the main event, and he's fighting for a world title shot. It's crazy, right? But Hanafan did not want Frankie on commentary with him, and then for at least for a majority part, it was basically him and Kazarian bickering on commentary. Kazarian, trying to being the prick and POS he is, trying to push buttons. And of course, Hanafan, not afraid to kind of bounce back on commentaries and stuff. So funny interaction between these two. So this was a decent main event. Eric Young and Kaz. Eric Young and JDC. As I mentioned earlier, like since JDC is on his retirement run, like this is a great way to kind of like put out some bangers, some showcase, see, show, what people kind of like that kind of like underutilize, undervalue him because the Fandango character and because people thought he was just a character and didn't really see what he can do as a wrestler and stuff. So yeah, and him going up against a multi-time champion and Eric Young, was a good way to kind of boost up his contendership for Final Resolution coming up. So yeah, this was a decent match. Of course, anytime you're wrestling Eric Young, you're gonna get a decent match because Eric is that good. So yeah, a lot of good sequencing, of course, and then of course both guys were on the top rope. EY fall flats. Of course, JDC count would take advantage with the leg drop, and of course get the 3. So yeah, JDC earned his world title shots coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And again, one of the better retirement tours. You know what I mean? I would say maybe it's because it's going to be shorter. You know what I mean? It's kind of came out of nowhere, but I already think that they are sending JDC out. Like more on top than kind of burying him on the way out. Not burying him, but you know what I mean. This is cool. I like, obviously it's probably his first world title shot ever. I'm looking forward to this one. This should be really good. And let me just say, when I was thinking about it, with Eric Young would have won, I'm probably one of those hardcore TNA fans that if at the end of the day it was Cass versus Eric Young for the TNA world title, I'm not going to get upset about that because those are two TNA alums. So I don't think anybody would have complained about, like, you know what I mean? If you've been a TNA fan for any long period of time, you know what I mean? Those are two guys that this company's been built on. So
yeah.
Part of me was like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Did anything come with Eric Young and his 2 mystery men with the flyers?
I think EY just came to the ring by himself.
Okay.
Or I don't know if they were showing the masked man in the crowd as usual, but he was talking to them backstage again about the cleanse and stuff.
This isn't like these guys didn't look like much. This wasn't like when I forget who had masked him, but they revealed like Nux and Doc. You know what I mean? These guys weren't big, so it wasn't like I was like, oh shit, who are these guys? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was funny. I was watching some Ace and Ace stuff earlier. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely revealed that group very well. You know what I mean? Like that it was very good how they did the whole leading up to them. We could say what we want about the booking after, but yeah, it was good. There was moments. I'll never forget when when you start to like really think about it, you're like, it really hit me. I'm like, why does that one guy look like he has Wes Briscoe's hair? You know what I mean? I'm like, God damn it, I should have known that was Wes Briscoe the whole time. Okay, before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts on tonight's show?
I think this was a good way to kind of get the ball rolling, obviously for Final Resolution, and also, of course, Mike Santana, as we mentioned earlier, kind of let us know where his mind's at, and of course, keep the feud between the NXT guys and TNA. So should be some very interesting weeks, and of course, with the knockouts contention. With the knockouts contention leading up to a Final Resolution, and of course, who will be the champion? As we'll see coming Tuesday. So yeah, a lot of good things for TNA in the coming weeks. And seems like we have a thing. I think we're gonna have like a Thanksgiving edition next Thursday, so that should be interesting. So yeah,
I cannot wait for that. I think that the Thanksgiving TNAs. Again, if you've been a fan for any long period of time, you know that those always deliver. There's so many good ones. If you look in like the vault of TNA, I suggest if anybody has like TNA Plus out there, go watch some of the best ones. If I would suggest one off the top, I would say the one where they go to Kurt Angle's house. I think that's one of the most entertaining episodes of TV ever. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Okay, before we get out of here, I just want to remind everyone to make sure to like and subscribe this video so whenever you guys get notified whenever we go live or whenever the many great people at Bodyslam go live. And with that being said, thank you guys all for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.